Attention, all curious minds, innovators, and trendsetters. It's time to pause, lean in, and get ready for an extraordinary journey as we dive deep into the fascinating realms of life, technology, entertainment, and business. Let's explore, learn, and grow together. Brace yourselves, for the next thrilling episodes of HIPTHER Talks is about to take off. Counting down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here we go.
Hi everyone, Zoltan here. We're back again this week at HIPTHER Talks, and this time we are moving away from the usual talks from software and operations, but still sticking into in the iGaming industry. And I have the pleasure of having Dan Shannon from Active Wins with me. Hi Daniel, nice to have you here.
Hi Zoltan, nice to meet you, mate.
All right, so we have this tradition here on HIPTHER Talks that we like to give the opportunity for our guest to say a few words about themselves in their own words. So just like very short, just let our audience know who they're dealing with today.
I'm Dan Shannon. I've been in the iGaming industry for 14 years now as an affiliate, doing white label, SEO, marketing and commercial campaigns for multiple companies. I'm currently at Bettable, which has other brands like Active Win and Grace Media, and I'm currently heading up their player acquisition there.
All right, it's good to have you here. And yeah, I'm already interested about how did you get started, because you've been in the iGaming industry for over 14 years now, and I'm interested about how you got started, but I'm also interested about what's kept your passion about all of the industry throughout the years.
Of course, yeah. It's a very good question. So originally I got into the industry roughly when I was around 24, 25 years old. I was working at a telecommunications company originally as an account manager, looking after celebrities' mobile phone accounts. Roughly when the first ever iPhone come out.
All right.
I feel quite old now because that's like a really long time ago. But yeah, so I was doing that, but the money wasn't fantastic. I had a young child at that point. Me and my wife, we had a mortgage, so I was looking at different ways of making money. And one of the ways I figured out was just quite easy to make money was affiliate marketing. And affiliate marketing, the biggest way to make money, the biggest industry in affiliate marketing to make money was gambling. At that point in the UK gambling scene was very, very hot. And it was really, really going off, and especially bingo.
Yeah.
So what I'd done is I started launching a few bingo affiliate websites, as well as some sport websites, just basic SEO websites, nothing particularly fancy. If you look at them now, you'd think, what's that? But back then it was okay. And it was literally just basically to market them sites and target low-hanging fruit in terms of keywords. At that point, like I said, the UK market was very hot in terms of like paying CPAs and paying decent revenue shares to people. I built my bingo and my affiliate sites up to the point where I could leave my daytime job in telecommunications. I was making enough money to actually walk away from that, which is a big risk because obviously in the standard life, if you've got a nice 9-to-5 job and wage, to actually say, no, thank you, I'm going to go do something myself is a big risk, especially at a young age. But I started doing that by myself then for a while, to the point where it was it's been non-manageable, because I really didn't know how. I was too young, I didn't really know how to run a business properly myself. So basically I sold my company to someone who owned the white labels and affiliate websites. And he took me on as basically head of SEO for their company. So yeah, that's basically the story, really.
It's interesting. It's interesting that I have a similar story because I was working in telecommunication. I was working for Orange back when I was around.
Oh, mine was also.
Yeah, and I got into affiliate marketing after that, in casino, sports betting, and poker, because poker was very hot that back then. The US was still booming, And like you said, those websites were like HTML websites or just like basic.
This is pre WordPress.
Yes.
It's like it was quite tricky, but also
before responsive websites and stuff like that, mobile friendly, and we were just like grinding our days away with the Google updates and
but I personally think that it does you good, the fact that we were doing that before that, because we're quite well equipped now to challenges, because them challenges were quite tough.
Those were the days when those Panda updates from Google hit, and Penguin. Yes, all right. So you work like both affiliate and operator sides, and this is something great to have on our podcast, because we don't often have people in this position. So how has this dual perspective influenced your approach to growth strategy?
I think, to be fair, understanding both markets is really, really beneficial for especially nowadays in the industry we are, because obviously affiliate and iGaming is changing, but things are basically the same as they are, if that makes sense. So even though things much change, things don't really change, if you know what I mean. But having both views on each market is very, very good to have, especially when obviously at the minute I'm head of player acquisition at Bettable, and obviously when we're looking at acquiring players and we're doing affiliate deals with people, or when our team's doing it, the fact that I've got knowledge over how an affiliate works, how an affiliate operates, is beneficial for us for our white labels and for our sites as well. Because they both operate in different models, in different ways. And if you look at affiliates are more targeted, low hanging keywords. It's more targeted at certain types of demographics, where if you're looking at like a white label, you're just looking to get presence wherever that may be, because there's so much massive competition. You've got Bet365 as one, which is just like a absolute unit of a site. But affiliate sites, obviously there is other sites like Ask Gamblers, Gambling.com, which are good ones, but there's also little pockets of keywords people can go after and make a very good living off.
It certainly is different now. It's not like you can just like start a new website, an affiliate website, and start earning, because you have the big players out there who have around 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 websites in their on their platform. So I'm also interested about what are the biggest trends you've seen right now in the iGaming space, especially in the regulated markets.
Well, I think you're looking in the iGaming space at the minute, you're looking at like more paid ads. Originally when I first started, PPC was one of the only ways people done their marketing. Obviously, you had organic SEO, which is difficult. But if you've got someone who's good at SEO, it's easy to a point. Then you got your affiliate marketing. So, but a lot of your operators are looking at costs, and looking at ROIs and looking at margins and stuff like that. So when you're paying out for affiliates, it is difficult, because obviously, depending on the market you're in, the CPAs might be really ridiculously high, and then you got your lifetime revenue. So there's a lot of them markets you got to look at. The biggest trend I've seen really more is going into like Meta and Snapchat ads. They're really, really, really popular at the minute. Obviously, I've got a massive knowledge of UK Gambling Commission. That's where I've worked in quite a lot of my career, MGA in UK. And obviously, as you're probably aware, the UK scene is very regulated. Very regulated.
Yes.
But I think if you know what you're doing in that area, you still can make very good money. I've done that in previous companies I've worked for, where in the UK we've been turning over really decent money, and that's basically been using an approach from obviously just looking at your SEO, looking at your affiliates, but mainly now at the minute looking at your paid ads. Your paid ads is a really, really key revenue driver, and I think a lot of people don't look at Snapchat or especially Snapchat, and think, oh, we can make a lot of money. If like they just think, oh, the age range is like 18 or younger, younger generation. But there's a massive market in things like Snapchat. I think if you look at TikTok as well, that's an emerging one what potentially will come in. I know some gambling companies are looking to get TikTok licenses, so that's another way to look at. But for us here at Betable, we do a lot of Meta and paid ads, so Facebook and Instagram, and that's a very good revenue driver.
All right. So how do white label brands fit into the broader ecosystem of iGaming today? Because they've been around, of course, for a long time now. But where do you see their greatest opportunities for growth now?
I think it's changed. So I think if you look at a lot of the major brands at the minute, I've said this for years, and I still think a lot of brands are stale. And what I mean by stale is basically they've got a massive base of customers, and they don't really have to try. Because, for example, Bet365, everyone in the UK, if you walk around the street, knows what that is. Everyone knows what Betfred is in the UK, and so on, so on, so on. These brands are massive. So when they're coming to their market, and yeah, of course they still market, and of course they do a very good job of that. Like Paddy Power does a very good job at their marketing.
Yeah,
William Hill, but they don't particularly have to really try hard. Yeah. And you've got basically with these companies, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people working for these companies, and there's lots of different levels that can be layer to get stuff done. Where if you're a white label and you've got a few hundred employees or whatever you have, even less than that, you can pivot quite quickly, and you can change basically your tactical approach and basically how you approach your marketing. Because anything with this industry, marketing is crucial. If you don't get your marketing right, you're done. And I use a term quite a lot about diversify or die. And it is, you've got to diversify your brand. And I think with white labels, they've got more freedom to flex and change stuff on a whim, rather than 1 year big juggernauts who have to go through this compliance manager, go through this COO, go through this. There's loads of red tape. We're here. We can flex. We can look at what them brands are doing well, and then we can put in what we do well.
All right. So what unique challenges do white label brands face in regulated markets compared to fully licensed operators?
I think more with the licensing side of things, I think it's just that their constant compliance changes. And obviously with the bigger brands, they have a lot of staff in terms, and a lot of people who are clued up in terms of that compliance levels. And with the UK, you can literally be 1 hour, everything's ticking over fine, and the next thing, something's changed, and you've got to pivot quick. And it's one of them where, with a white label, if you've not got a big compliance team in place, it can be hard work. it can be really hard work, because it's not just failing compliance on it being like, it's the fines what you can get. And fines, you're looking at millions and millions of pounds, depending on what the fines for. And for some white label providers, that's business. That's your business gone. So I think for me, it's more on the compliance side of stuff, basically, because the bigger brands do have like a unit of teams they can just rely on, where white labels are not nowhere near as big, really.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. So you mentioned driving organic traffic. So when it comes to driving organic growth for white label brands, what strategies have you seen succeed? And maybe you can point out about which ones tend to fall short.
So with strategy, for me, I always think content is king. It's true. And so I've come from a massive, heavily SEO background, and I believe just having a good SEO base for any white label is paramount. I know basically a lot of white labels just look at paid as an option, which is obviously if you're doing paid right, that's great. But I always think to structure your business, you need to have multiple pillows. the strongest foundation of a company for me is your SEO. That's why I look at. So basically, because that's long term, that's less cost effective as well, because you're not paying out loads on affiliates. So for me, SEO, and I build around, for me, a successful white label builds around that. So you've got your SEO in the middle, and then you've got your paid, you've got your online marketing, you've got your affiliates, you've got your PPC. You basically build from around SEO. Where I see people and white labels go wrong is they don't particularly focus on SEO. What they'll do is they'll focus just solely on paid and go, we're going to do our paid approach, go down this route. And then once they have one bad month, you've got nothing to fall back on. Yeah. And then that's the problem. So it's like again, it's diversifying your brand, but I think having a strong SEO pillar to start with and then building out from that is paramount to any successful business.
All right. You also mentioned that player feedback is very important, and it's shaping the future of online gambling as it is. So could you share some examples on how it's influenced product or maybe business decision at the company you work for now?
What was that? Say that again, sorry.
I mean, player feedback.
Player feedback. Oh yeah, no, 100%. No, it's paramount. So I think knowing what your players are saying about your site, how they're enjoying your site, especially the ones who are currently customers with you.
Yeah.
Basically, whether they're coming back, and because you can, obviously, any gambling company can see what the retention level is, and you can see the interaction. So basically, if they've come in and they drop off after a month, and everyone's dropping off after a month, there's a slight issue there somewhere. So understanding what your players want and what the market wants, but also always, if you feel monitoring your players on the website, what they're clicking, where are they navigating around to. I mean, the finer detail of basically what buttons get clicked most on your website, what pages do people go to the most, what areas are your players coming from. So if you say, for example, in England, if 90% of your players are coming from the north of England, fantastic, let's do a bit of promotion in there. But then on the flip side, why is no one coming in from the south of England? Let's pivot. So that's just an example. But that's what you just understanding basically your players is crucial.
So how do white label brands effectively gather and act on user feedback, especially when brand identity might be less differentiated than with the large operators?
There's multiple things you can do. So when you've got a customer base, you can contact your customers. That's potential. Obviously, as long as within GDPR and as long as you follow the regulations, there is possibilities to get to. You can have stuff on your website to gain feedback. Obviously, a lot of customers go through to live chat and stuff like that with issues. Obviously, you're gathering that types of information and things like that. You can also go to the street. You can also go to the public in the street and basically asking when you're doing marketing campaigns, what do you like about our brand? But again, I think sometimes you can get feedback just off silent movements. So basically, watching what they're doing on the website, watching where they're clicking and things like that. But for me, it's just going to the customer really. We have all their details as long as it falls under regulation. You can contact them and ask them. But I've done over the years where we've done multiple different ways of asking what do you like. But also as well, as you probably well aware, you can look at Google Trends and stuff like that on your site. Yeah. So for us really, we have so many data sources where we can draw a picture up of a player and our customer type. There's lots of tools available to us.
All right, so give me just 1 second. I have a technical problem here. I'm switching off the microphone camera for 2 minutes and coming back.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, good, fixed. All good.
Oh,
Okay,
good.
so I'm also interested about what innovations or market shifts do you think will define the next 3-5 years in the iGaming industry?
Yeah, I think this is probably a common thing. If you ask people, you'll probably get the same types
Yeah,
of answers. AI.
yeah, all right.
But it's true. So I think like if you look at it now, for any like white label company anyway, a lot of the tools and data they're getting is AI generated or it's basically pulled from stuff like that. It's something I've started using over the past year in terms of like finding out data about whether that's affiliates, whether that's player behavior and stuff like that. And I think it's something which is just going to get advanced and advanced and advanced as we go over the next few years, and something potentially companies probably need to start using now anyway, because otherwise it's going to start falling behind. Because I think if you look at it now, everyone's day is getting a bit more easier and streamlined because we can pull data together a lot quicker and we can get information a lot quicker, which
but
means
makes it more complicated.
Makes it more complicated, 100%. But I think if you look at now, even hypothetically, I'll give you an example. I'm looking at competitors' websites and looking at what people are doing on PPC, for example, on Facebook and Instagram and Meta and stuff like that. And on the Meta ads, I can tell by looking which adverts are being made by AI, and then which ones are being made by a designer. But then AI, the ones are now getting closer to the designer ones, which I'm thinking, hang on, which one's which?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and obviously, you know yourself as I'm not a designer myself, but I know a designer can take maybe a day or two for them to get a design, where that's probably AI is probably doing that in an hour, if that. So I think more companies are coming a lot more streamlined in terms of like the processes and how products and things take to do. But I think that's going to be the biggest one, really. I feel like more affiliates will come back into the market as well, personally, the way I'm seeing it, because I feel like the gambling industry is really starting to take off again now. I think it went through a low after COVID and stuff like that. But I feel like the gambling industry is getting back to 2016, 2017, where it's starting to really, really, I can see by the conferences, it's a lot more alive and stuff like that. So I feel a lot more affiliates will come back into the market. I will be interested to see how sites will be put up in the future as well, in terms of like whether people will just try to clone people's sites and stuff like that, which I don't like the sound of, but I do think that will probably sneak in as well, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think that I should take a note for my next guests, and not to ask about what will AI not influence in the future, because everybody knows that AI is influencing everything, but maybe there's some part that we might have forgot. But if you were advising a new entrant into the white label iGaming space, or maybe affiliate space even, what's that one piece of advice you'd give them to stay competitive and also be compliant?
Yeah, find your niche. It's exactly that. Find your niche, because I think where a lot of people might fall, and I know for a fact because I've seen it myself, they'll come in and they'll look at the big companies. They'll look at Bet365, look at Paddy Power, William Hill, for example, and they'll try to carve and copy them. You're not going to be able to do it.
Of course.
You're not going to be able to, unless you have a massive backing. It's not going to happen. So what you need to do is you need to find your niche. And that's the same for affiliates and white labels. You just need to find, before you launch a site, before you build a business plan, what do we want to target? Where do we want to target? What type of keywords? What type of people do we want to target? What's our plan, marketing? What's our budgets? And have a good 12-month plan, basically planning and strategizing what you want to do and how that's going to look. Because it's not going to be easy for the first 12 months. It's not, because like to get players in the door is hard for a gambler to trust online. It's really hard for them to trust. You have to get buy-in off them, and what they look for is right. And what I look for is that company being around a long time. It's not been around that long. Nah. Oh, they've got 5 Instagram followers. No. So it's like it's stuff like, so it's literally trying to build that trust, but you need to know what you're targeting and where you're targeting. And for me, I always think you targeting like low-hanging fruit. And there's tons of low-hanging fruit in this industry. Loads of low-hanging keywords, low-hanging audiences and niches. You got e-gaming now, which is going on, which is really starting to take off. You got your crypto casinos and stuff like that, very popular at the minute. You got your standard online casinos. You got your sports books. You got fancy leagues and stuff like that. There's multiple different avenues you can go in. You don't have to come in and do everything. You can just pick your niche and stick to your niche.
Exactly. All right. So thank you so much, Daniel, for taking your time and answering my questions. And yeah, we have a second tradition on the HIPTHER Talks, which is that the earlier guest has left a question or a message for the next guest, and this time it's a question again. We've been doing these questions for the past, 15 episodes now. Hopefully somebody will leave a message for the next guest. So this question comes from Tatyana Kaminskaya. She's head of SOFTSWISS Game Aggregator. And she asks, I wonder what lessons does iGaming industry can take from other industries, whatever comes to your mind.
That's a good one. I can use an example if you would like. I was looking years and years ago, around 2018, when I went to a conference, and I picked up that a fashion industry was basically monitoring what their players used, how their players used their website. It was something I'd never heard of in the gambling industry at that point. Someone may have been using it, but I'd never heard of it. It was a fashion website. Basically, what they were doing is they were monitoring how people were navigating around the site, where they were clicking. I mentioned this earlier on in the podcast, where they're clicking, what buttons they were clicking and stuff like that. And I took that away from there and thought, you know what, that is a fantastic idea. I implemented that. I know a lot of people use the same tools now with like Moslow, Hotjar, stuff like that. But at that point, there was nothing in the iGaming industry using something like that. And I think that's a very, very great example to use. I think if there's something you hear or you pick up, you can try it. And I always think, always look at different industries, how they market, especially if they're online, because we're doing the same thing, exactly the same thing.
All right. Yeah, this makes me look back to 2021. 2020, we were doing virtual conferences, and we had a fashion tech panel, and there was I don't know from which company. I don't want to name them if I'm making an error, but they had this augmented reality type of thing where it's just like they took a photo of this photo wherever it is, and it took you directly to a link where you can just like look at the promotion. So it wasn't a QR code; it was a photo which you could scan, and it took you to a link. It was an interesting thing because you can maybe add it to banners or such or advertisement on Facebook or everywhere else. So Daniels, thank you once again for your time. And yeah, guys, we will be back next week with more crazy stuff. Take good care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap for this section of HIPTHER Talks. Thank you for being a part of our journey today. Don't forget to tune in next week for more insights and discussions. Stay connected with us on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and more. Until then, keep exploring and keep growing. We'll see you next time.